Hello, this is Angelo from CourseUX.com, and I'm just recording this video to give you some feedback on your wireframes. So let's just look at the video that you put together. I was really happy to see that you turned this into an actual prototype, so it becomes easier to see also like the interactions that you have. There are certain things that I think you're doing extremely well, especially when it comes to like the scale of your text, the hierarchy. I think it works really well, and your padding, the spacing. You seem to be having some experience as a designer. I'm not sure if your background is in design or not, but the quality of your wireframe is quite high. But of course, there's always ways for us to improve what you have, and I can see already some little things that maybe can help make this design much stronger, not only from a visual point of view, but also in terms of the user experience. So far, everything is looking nice. I'll just watch this again with you, just in case there is something here that pops up. I already have some notes that I want to share with you, but let's just take a look, and then we start from the beginning, from the first screen, and I can give you some more detailed feedback. So I think let's try this. Let's stop now, and so we can start from the very first screen that you have. So the first thing that I could say is this. I think this padding here seems to be like too small. Like having your logo, which I assume it's the company, the application Mentor Match, very close to the sign up. It just seems a little bit strange, just because of the fact that those two fonts are very different from each other. So I would just have Mentor Match here as a logo, and obviously all that extra space that you have will make it easier for people to separate those two different sections. One will be your logo, which will be here, and then the sign up, which is something that it's happening here. I also feel like you have lots of different items when you're signing up, and I'm not sure if it's mandatory. Of course, when you're creating an account in an application, you try to capture as much information as possible from the user. But obviously, the more you ask, the easier it is for the user to not complete this process, in the first place. So I would just recommend using the absolute necessary information for you to create an account, and to maybe ask those things afterwards once the account is being created, so the user has a chance to quickly sign up and discover the app before maybe finding excuses or reasons for not signing up in the first place. So the fact that you are asking them to choose, what they're looking for to begin with, their name, the email, the password, to confirm the password, it's multiple steps. If you could get away with just maybe email and password without having to even confirm the password, that would be even better. So instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 different options, we will have only 3. I know it seems like really a slight change, but it's in the interest of improving the possibility of those people signing up really quickly. And other things that you could add here is an option for people to see or hide the password. This is very important when people maybe have very long passwords, and they maybe want to type this, but they want to make sure they don't make a mistake. So instead of having to confirm the password, just by looking at the actual password through this icon, it could be like an eye icon, or a text that says hide and show, will make it easier for people to see if they're entering the right password. And other things that I can tell you, this seems to be obviously a sign up process where people are creating an account for the first time. But what happens if people already have an account? You should have some text here that says, if you already have an account, log in here. And then you will have a login page where the user can enter the email and password, and then they can quickly log in. And of course, in the login page, you will have the same for the same logic, you will have another text here at the bottom that will say, if you don't have an account, you can create an account here. And then if the user clicks on that, they will get to this page. You always want to give access to people to both pages, the sign up and the login, just in case somebody makes a mistake, and instead of choosing sign up, they were supposed to be choosing login, or the other way around. But in this case, if I already have an account, I'm kind of stuck here because the application is asking me to sign up, and there's no way I can really do anything else. Once again, you have an extra step here where the user has to enter like a security code that was sent to their email. I think it's just an extra step that is probably not needed for the same logic that I just described before. And if you can maybe streamline this process just by allowing people to quickly sign up, obviously that will improve, the amount of people that will complete this process instead of just maybe getting stuck at this point. And then you have, let's fill out your profile, help others get to know you by filling out your mentee's profile. Let's do it, skip for now. I think this area here could be improved visually by having like some illustration or some image here or something that helps fill up the space that now seems to be unbalanced. You know, you have everything up here and then you have all this empty space here that makes this design a little bit awkward from a visual point of view. So let me share with you an example of how you can turn this into something that is a little bit different, right? So if this is your screen, you could have, you know, your logo at the top, like we said. And I think, you know, centering the logo will just easily separate it from the rest of your design. That's why I think it will be better to have it here. And then obviously you'll have your text here that says, let's fill up your profile. You know, let's create your profile. This would be your title, and this would be your text, right? Something like this, for example, right? Then here would be a good option to, you know, it would be nice to have some kind of like illustration or an idea, an image that just, you know, helps motivate the user to complete that process. And then you'll have the button here, and then skip for now, you know, your text here. So you can see this design already feels much more balanced because of the fact that you're using wisely all your space instead of just having something that looks like this, which is what you have right now. So this is what you have, and this is what you could have, for example. You can see how much more unbalanced this feels. It's heavy at the top and very, you know, light at the bottom, whereas this seems to be much more just visually appealing because this image can maybe bring an extra reason for them to complete that process. You can also turn this around if you want. So for example, you could have the image at the top and then your text here at the bottom. You could do this, you know, you can have the title here and the image and then the text, right? So there's lots of variations of this idea, but I think all of them can bring some actual visual interest into this process that might seem a little bit too dry at this point. And then, so you're adding let's just go back a little bit. So you add name, location, about me, interest, industry. Again, all those things might seem quite a lot to ask. I know the user is supposed to be creating a profile, and we need to add those things, but maybe you can divide this into several steps. So instead of just being a step that happens all in the same screen, maybe in the first screen you choose name and location, and maybe in the next screen you have about you, and then the next one will be interest. If you divide this into many steps, so the user goes through each one of them individually, or in a smaller fashion, then it becomes easier for the user to complete that process because at every step, you know, what we're going to be asking the user will be just one simple thing, right? For example, this would be tell me your interest, and then you will have your button here. And this would be a good opportunity to maybe have some kind of progress bar that you could have here at the bottom to show how much progress the user has made through this process, right? Or you could have something at the top that, you know, establishes how many steps, you know, how many steps the user is going to have to go through. So this will say, for example, step. So this is obviously huge. So this will say, let's say, step 1 of 4, right? And you can see right away how by removing all those different options that happen in the same screen, it just seems less overwhelming. Obviously, this will be your call to action, you know, to make the user go through the stage, and this will be where the user enters the information, right? And that will be what the user wants. Sorry, what we're asking the user to enter, and this will be the logo. So something like that could work a little bit better. Obviously, you will have some text here too. Maybe like a suggested text to help the user understand what they're supposed to be writing, right? So this makes the user focus on each one of those steps individually. it removes all sorts of distraction. And by having the loading bar that show how much progress has been done and the number of steps still left and which step the user is taking at this point, can increase the chances of those people completing those stages without feeling like they're getting stuck, having to do this right away. Entering, obviously, see like how many sections you have: industry, company, job, all that obviously can start to become quite tiring for people to do. And remember, at this point, the user doesn't really know why we're asking all those different things. You always want to give something to the user first and then ask something in return. But at this point, it seems like the user is committing a lot of his time to complete all those different stages to get to the point where they can finally be matched with a mentor. So maybe just provide this as a first thing that they get to see right away. So we already give them a reason to complete the profile, because then they can see which people they can be connecting with, instead of just asking them to complete the profile first, and which might be too complex or too long for them to finish without knowing like what is the deal, what is the return of investment. So if I'm investing all this time to create my profile with all this information, but what am I getting in return for this, right? So I think this could be an easier way to maybe get away with asking the user to do all sorts of different things. I like this a lot. The mentor search, you have the mentors and the topics, you have the filters, all that is great. I really, really like the way you created this, because then the only thing that maybe I will ask you to change is to avoid having the text on top of an image, because that can create a scenario where this text is going to interact with the image in the background, and maybe the color of the image or the composition might interfere with the text, making it difficult for people to read. I think it would be better to just separate those two things. So you will have, your image here and then your text below. So no matter what kind of image you have, if this image for whatever reason changes color to something else, then this text will always be legible. Also, another suggestion that I have is to always add like some text underneath the icons, because some of them are pretty easy to understand. This is on page and search and maybe notification, but this one here I have no idea what this is about. Or this might be chat, or it could be, I don't know, groups, or it could be something like that. So if you have text underneath the icon, you resolve that problem really easily, because then people can quickly know what each item refers to. So this is the mentor page with the different reviews. Maybe you can have a picture of the person who also reviewed this, just so you can bring some extra visual elements into this design. And I imagine the very top will be just a picture of the mentor. This application consists of 3 questions, and the mentor name is requested. Again, maybe you could still remind them which mentor they are applying to, because right now, if I just click that button before and then for some reason I'm opening up another app or I'm doing something else and I come back to the app to see this, I have no idea which mentor I selected. So maybe you still want to establish which mentor they are connecting with at this point, so it becomes clear for them why they're supposed to be going through this and what they get from this process, right? So here's the questions. Here's the idea that that I just expressed before. So the idea of the progress bar, you've done it really well here by selecting, not only making the bar but also adding the 2 of 3, which is what I've created here at the top. So you can use the same structure that you created here, and I think it could work really nicely for those previous screens, right? And then you select the next questions, and then you can view the application. Again, remind the user which mentor they're applying to or which mentor they're getting connected with, so it becomes difficult. It doesn't become difficult for them to know. And then you have pending, accepted, declined, and drafts. Maybe you can use like different icons here to separate each one of them more from each other, because right now just having the text alone might not be enough. Also, you might want to have like a filter here where you can just say only show me the pending, or only show me the accepted, or only show me the draft, or show me all, just in case the user connects with lots of different mentors, and then it's going to be difficult for them to maybe browse through such a long list. And let me see, there was another things that I looked at before that I feel like you could be improving. So that notification is fine. The chat is nice. I like it. I like it a lot. And here's when you're paying. That's really, really nice. One thing that I could also mention, when you get to pages like this where the menu is, it's removed, you could probably move the X here and you can have a back button just so it becomes easier for people to go back to the previous steps without, um, without losing like some of the progress that they've made. Again, here you can maybe show which mentor again. Maybe you can have the picture of the mentor. You can bring a little bit more life into this by making sure that the user understands that this payment is going towards this particular connection, right? And let's see the meetings. Okay, that's nice. Maybe you want to establish here like which time zone as well, just in case. Some people maybe are going to be using this application from different countries or different continents, for example, right? And so if you just establish which time zone it is, that will be probably easier and better for people that maybe are using this internationally. And here's when you invite the calendar. I remember looking at this. I don't have any changes for this. So as I said, your work, it's really strong, especially considering that this is still a wireframe. You've done an excellent job, presenting your content. But some of those suggestions that I gave you will ideally improve not only the design but also like the way the application functions, right? And here you have all the different tasks. Nice. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I have. Everything else, it's working really, really strong. So I was really happy to review your work. I hope that today, through the feedback and suggestions and ideas that I gave you, you'll have a chance to improve your work. And of course, if you need anything else, or if you are stuck at any point, or if you need some extra feedback, just let me know. I'll be very happy to help you out once again. So thank you so much for today, and take care. Have a good week.